Hello, my name is James, and as you can see, we're in my car. And the reason for that is because I thought it was relevant to the topic I'm going to be discussing today. And my car only sits two people, so it's me and my girlfriend Taylor. She's with me today, and we're going to be talking about how to drive a manual transmission car. And there'll be three main points I'm going to be talking about, and one being the technical and background information, and the second being shifting gears, and third being how to finesse the clutch. And to get started, a transmission is basically a series of gears that work to give the car certain amounts of torque and at various speeds. And each gear has its own ratio of how much RPM it will be using at a certain speed. And RPM is revolutions per minute, and torque is basically the more that you have, the faster you can get up and go. So the more you have, the faster to 60 you'll be able to get to. And the RPM gauge on your dashboard, it's a bit smaller than your miles per hour gauge if you're in an automatic, and it's usually in the corner to the left or right or whatever. And each gear inside the transmission has different sizes, and that's how you get different ratios of power to speed. So first gear is always the smallest, and then second gear will be a little bit bigger, and so on and so forth. And say you're on a mountain bike, and all mountain bikes have gears, and when you're on a smaller gear, the engine works faster, and works faster at slower speeds. So this is really good to give you a decent amount of acceleration from the get-go, so you can get up to speed quicker. And when you're in a higher gear, it'll give you more of an acceleration at a higher speed at lower RPMs. So that's pretty much all the technical and background information you're going to need to know. And to shifting, you're in a manual transmission in a manual transmission car. You're going to be going from stop to a high speed. You're going to be shifting through each gear. And in my car, it's a 6-speed, which means there's 6 gears. And some cars, depending on what car you're in, it's a 5-speed, which is 5 gears. And there's 2 basic types of manual transmission lever positions. One being the H pattern, which I'll show you now in my car. You have right here, you have the pattern: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, with reverse being in the top left. And there's first gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And reverse, you have a little reverse lockout right here. That's what it's called. That allows you to move the handle over as far as over to the left and up. That way you're in reverse. And that is how you would shift gears. And it's important to remember to always stay in sequential order, so don't try to go from first to third or second to fifth. You can definitely do it, but when you're first learning how to drive a manual, I wouldn't recommend doing it, just because if you don't know what you're doing, you're putting more work on the engine that's unnecessary. And so now we're going to talk about downshifting techniques. Downshifting is not hard, but it's a lot more trickier. It's more tricky than just regular shifting up. So when you're in a higher gear, you need to go back down to a lower gear when you're downshifting. And it's when you go to go downshift into a higher gear, into a lower gear, that gear wants to be in a higher RPM range. And in order to do that, when you're in the middle of a shift, you want to tap the gas so that the RPM will jump up a little bit to match the ratio of that gear that you're supposed to be in. And that way it's a smooth transition. And if you don't tap on the gas, the car will just kind of jerk. It gets the job done, but it's not really recommended, I guess. And yeah, and then you have what people call finessing the clutch, because if you're just pushing the clutch and shifting and letting go, yeah, like I said, it's working, it works, but in the long run, from what I've experienced and what I've heard, that it's not good for the engine in the long run. It could cause problems. And so like I said before, what you want to do is tap the gas if you're downshifting, so that your RPMs match. It's called rev matching. So they match the RPMs of the ratio of the gear that you're in. And then if you're normally shifting, if you're going too quick, if you're going too fast, you want to come off the clutch a little bit to where the RPMs drop a little bit. And I'll show you my pedals right quick. Down here, you can see you got this is the clutch that you push in all the way, and then you got the brake, of course, and the gas. Your left foot, all that does is the clutch, and then in any other car, you got the brake and gas that you use with your right foot. There you go. So that's pretty much how you drive a manual transmission. Thanks for listening.